Sweet. Stay sweet. Stay cool. Stay cool. 1v1 plus versatile. Chronicles+Rebirth+Fool+Ancient Martial Arts+Metaphysics+Divine Medicine+Farming+Getting rich, Qinxi has been reborn. Reborn in 1983, he was cheaply married to a fool by a top-notch family member, and on the day of his rebirth, he unexpectedly inherited the Xuanyi Jue. From then on, the silver needle overcame people and the technique overcame deceit. Not only did it cure the foolish husband, but it also designed to kick the top-notch family, leading his husband's family to success. P.S. It doesn't look good, you hit me slightly unable to hit. Keywords of the novel. Rebirth era. Xuanyi Xiaofu's wife, she is super easy to flirt with without pop-ups, rebirth era. Xuanyi Xiaofu's wife, she is super easy to flirt with. Complete download of TXT. Rebirth era. Xuanyi Xiaofu's wife, she is super easy to flirt with. Latest chapter reading. Chapter 1. I can't stand it anymore. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1. I can't stand it anymore. Hot. It's very hot. Qinxi felt his head groggy, his body burning like a fire, tired and dry, and his eyelids too heavy to open. Vaguely, she had a strange dream that she was reborn in 1983, becoming a pitiful creature that could be bullied by anyone, regardless of whether her father loved her or her mother loved her. She lives cautiously every day, but her body is still covered in bruises and bruises. She is like a small beast that has lost its resistance and can only be slaughtered by others. And the culprit behind all of this turned out to be her family. Family members. She used to have a warm and happy family. She grew up with the love and indulgence of her parents, but the good times didn't last long. Her parents were pursued by inexplicable forces, and she was pierced by a bullet in her heart. Before she died, she felt the pendant around her neck heat up and then emit a dazzling light, and then she remembered nothing. Did she not die? Did someone save you? Xiujuan. I'm afraid this child won't be able to endure anymore. At this moment, an old voice rang in my ear, with a strong tone of concern and heartache. Han Dazhu looked painfully at Qinxi, who was thin and skinny. Her eyes closed tightly, her face flushed, and beads of sweat the size of beans sprouted from her forehead. Standing next to her was a middle-aged woman wearing a gray cloth garment. Her face was thin and waxy yellow, with sunken eye sockets. She looked much older than her actual age, and her eyebrows were filled with heavy fatigue and haggard. At this moment, the middle-aged woman was constantly wiping the sweat on her forehead with a handkerchief, her eyes filled with a look of heartache and self-blame. Dad, why don't I go beg the Qin family again to come and see the child? Luo Xiujuan looked at the dying Qinxi, gritting her teeth, tears rolling in her eyes, but stubbornly refused to fall. Upon hearing the Qin family, Han Dazhu snorted coldly and said, "Don't go. They are all livestock in the Qin family, don't expect them. After all, Xiaoxi is from the Qin family." Qin family. You forgot how the Qin family treated Xiaoxi. Over the years, the Qin family treated her like a cow and a horse. She couldn't eat enough or wear warm clothes, and even slept in a cow sheet every day. The Qin family's people were all animals. Xiaoxi is now my Han family's wife, and she must be buried in the Han family's ancestral tomb. Don't look for her. If you dare to find them, don't call me Dad anymore. Looking at the stubborn old man, Luo Xiujuan could only secretly wipe away her tears. At this moment, there was a sudden sound of footsteps outside the door. Han Dazhu frowned and walked towards the door with a cane. As soon as he opened the door, he saw a group of people rushing into the house, led by young people in their 20s. Han Dazhu looked at the young man led by him, his eyes full of vigilance and hostility, and his tone was gloomy as he asked, "Qin Feng, what are you doing here?" Qin Feng, the elder brother of Qinxi's milk siblings. He has a somewhat sleazy appearance, with a cunning look in his eyes. At first glance, he is not a good person. Moreover, he is very arrogant and often mixes with the local ruffians and thugs in the town. His whole body exudes a rogue aura, which makes people feel unhappy when they look at him. Qin Feng waited for Han Dazhu with a fierce expression on his face and sneered twice, "What are you doing? I heard that my sister will die of illness the next day after marrying into your family. Han Jizi, what do you think I'm doing here? Of course, I'm trying to get justice." Han Dazhu's nickname is Han Jizi. Han Dazhu didn't give in and fiercely poked the ground with his cane. He frowned and looked at him like he was looking at a mentally disabled person. Seeking justice. Oh, I don't need to tell you how the Qin family treats Xiaoxi. Qin Feng, you better get out of here and don't embarrass yourself here. Speaking, he reached out and gave Qin Feng a hard push. You terrible old man, how dare you provoke me, end of this chapter. Chapter 2. Behind the Scenes. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2. Behind the scenes. Qin Feng glared angrily. Although Han Dazhu was a cripple, he was very strong. Qin Feng was momentarily unaware and was pushed by him, causing him to stumble and become angry. His eyes were cold and gloomy, staring at Han Dazhu. Han Dazhu didn't give in at all, straightened his waist, and said, "What's wrong? Did I push it wrong? If you're not satisfied, just come and try. I'm not a vegetarian, big deal. I'll fight with you. Anyway, I'll live long enough. I'll die sooner or later, so why don't I pull a few cushions before I die?" He looked at Luo Xiaojuan, whose face turned pale with fear, and said, "Go get me a kitchen knife. Today, I want to see who dares to think of Xiaoxi." As soon as Qin Feng heard about holding the knife, his face changed and he couldn't contain his anger. "Old man, don't toast or refuse to drink. You Han family must compensate for killing my sister. If you don't compensate, don't blame Qin Feng for turning a blind eye." Han Dazhu's old and shrewd eyes looked at Qin Feng with a contemptuous sneer. "I knew your Qin family dog couldn't change its habit of eating feces." The wedding dowry lion opened its mouth, and now it's time to be ruthless again. If you're still alive, you can't wait to compensate. I really doubt if you're behind the scenes for Xiaoxi's illness. Han Dazhu just casually said something, but saw Qin Feng's face change, his eyes flicker slightly, and he stubbornly argued loudly with a guilty conscience, "What did you dead old man say? Xiaoxi is my sister, how could I possibly?" Han Dazhu learned some martial arts from people since he was young, and he is also a hunter. He has been dealing with animals all year round, and his mind is sensitive. His greatest skill is to capture subtle changes, and he immediately realizes that Qin Feng has a ghost in his heart. "You Qin Feng, you actually want to kill your own younger sister." Han Dazhu raised his cane, his face ferocious, as if an angry lion was about to pounce and tear Qin Feng apart at any moment. "What are you talking nonsense, you old man? Who wants to harm her? You don't want to vent your anger." Qin Feng was frightened and quickly denied it. A hint of cunning flashed in Han Dazhu's eyes, and he suddenly glared at Qin Feng with a sharp gaze. "Great, since you don't admit it, then I'll take Xiaoxi to the county town for inspection. If I really hit the nail on the head, you'll just wait to go to jail." He pointed his cane at the little hooligan behind Qin Feng, who had a good look on his face, and threatened, "And you guys, it seems you're with him." No, we don't know him. He said he wants some money to spend when he runs out of money, it's not our business." Yes, he also said he could have a lot of money today and invited us to drink. "It's none of my business, we're leaving now." After speaking, the little thugs quickly ran away. Although they were all lackeys, they didn't want to be charged with murder. Qin Feng felt a thump and panic as he saw them all running away, but when he thought of gambling debts, he immediately mustered up his courage. Compared to chopping his fingers, his sister's life was nothing. He was about to open his mouth and demand compensation, but he felt that the bad wind behind him was not good. Before he could turn around, a big stick with a bowl-wide mouth hit him. If it weren't for him hiding quickly, this heavy stick would definitely hit his head. Rao sure hit me on the shoulder, and Qin Feng almost burst into tears. He was so hurt that he ran away with his head in his arms. He shouted and cursed while avoiding, "You stinky fool, you dare to hit me, believe me or not. Don't fight, I surrender, I surrender." Han Shi let out a heavy snort, with a hint of innocence in his tone. He smashed the stick in his hand and said, "You are a bad person. You bullied my wife and even called me a fool. See if I don't kill you." End of this chapter. Chapter 3. Lethal Grass. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3. Lethal Grass. Han Dazhu not only did not stop him when he saw the situation, but also, kindly, reminded Qin Feng, "Kid, I can tell you, old man. It's not illegal for fools to kill people. If Han Shi makes a mistake for a while, you will die in vain. Yes, it's for nothing." Han Shi nodded heavily, his handsome face full of seriousness. Suddenly, he looked at Luo Xiaojuan with a bewildered expression and spoke solemnly and seriously, "Mom, bring me a kitchen knife. I want to kill someone." Luo Xiaojuan's face turned pale with fear, her legs and stomach trembled, and she quickly supported the edge of the heated Kong to barely prevent herself from falling. She knows best who her son is. Although he is only 5 years old and has an IQ, he never hesitates in his actions and completely inherits the old man's ruthlessness. It's almost like the old man hitting wherever he points, it's more effective than anything else. Han Dazhu cleverly tugged at the corners of his mouth and looked at Qin Feng, who had been beaten to tears, and called out his mother. He asked coldly, "Qin Feng, I'm asking you what's wrong with Xiaoxi. If you say it, I might still be able to spare you. But if you don't say it's causing lives, you'll just wait to get through the prison." Qin Feng was scared out of control. Although he was domineering, he was a typical coward. Faced with Han Jizi, who had once beaten big insects, he felt timid in his heart. This is also why he attracted a large group of people to support the scene. Me. He and I waited for a while, but were stunned and didn't say a word wrong. Han Dazhu snorted heavily and said, "Little stone, kill him." Han Shi nodded solemnly, his expression serious. He lifted the wooden stick and smashed it down, firmly hitting Qin Feng's thigh bone. The latter let out a scream and quickly begged for mercy, "Don't hit me, don't hit me. I said, can't I still do it?" Han Dazhu asked Han Shi to stop, but Han Shi obediently stopped. "I just gave her some desperate, deadly grass. Just a little, not too much, let go." He lowered his head and stuttered, gesturing with his little finger. "Lethal grass." His Han Dazhu and Luo Xiaojuan took a cold breath, their eyes turning red. The fierce light in their eyes wished they could tear him apart, and the old man roared angrily, "Lethal grass. How could you give your own sister lethal grass? Is that edible? That's something that can eat dead people." Qin Feng was so scared that he trembled and burst into tears. He said, "There's nothing I can do. I owe a gambling debt outside, and if I don't repay it, they'll take one of my hands. I can't do anything, I really can't do anything." Han Dazhu was furious, panting heavily and scolding loudly, "Bastard! You bastard! That's a life. How can you do it? How can you do it?" At this moment, a weak cough came and the three of them looked at Qinxi on the Kong at the same time. "Xiaoxi, you're awake. That's great." Luo Xiaojuan was the closest to Qinxi. When she saw her stirring her eyelashes and waking up, she excitedly rushed over. "Let him write." Qinxi's voice was as strong as a thread, unable to utter a complete sentence, as if he was ready to drink hatred towards the northwest at any moment. What are you saying? I am no longer a member of the Qin family from now on. I am not the Qin family. Qinxi's breath became weaker and weaker, and after saying these words, she was exhausted, her eyes rolled and she fainted. The stream. Han Dazhu and others were shocked and quickly gathered around to check. Qin Feng also felt a thump in his heart, afraid of losing his life, so he quickly took the opportunity to sneak out. At this moment, Qinxi's soul was in an empty space, with something resembling a crystal ball hanging in front of her. The crystal ball shone with a faint soft moonlight, and she looked beautiful. By a stroke of luck, she reached out and touched it. End of this chapter. Chapter 4. Mysterious Medical Techniques. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4. Mysterious Medical Techniques. In an instant, a golden light penetrated her eyebrows, and a strange feeling spread throughout her body. Her heavy head also cleared up, and Qinxi felt completely comfortable, as if all negative emotions had been dispelled. At this moment, she felt something inexplicable added to her mind, the secret medical formula. Just as he was about to study what it was, Qinxi suddenly felt a chill in his chest. He instinctively opened his eyes, and a magnified handsome face was right beside her. She was startled and reflexively slapped. With a loud bang. Qinxi saw the man looking at him with an aggrieved expression on his face, and there was a striking palm print on his left face. You, who are you? As soon as the words fell, Qinxi suddenly realized something. She suddenly touched her chest, intending to confirm the gunshot wound in the chest. As a result, I felt lonely. How did you come back to life? And, what about the wound? Where did her wound go? Wife, what are you looking for? Let me help you find it. Han Shi's handsome face approached, almost touching it. Qinxi looked up at him and suddenly saw a black mist on Han Shi's head. He reached out to touch it, and the black mist swooped into her body, creating a blurry scene in an instant. However, her brain was still in a state of freezing, and before she could read the screen, she felt a pair of big hands reaching in. The already blurry image instantly dissipated. Qinxi screamed, "Ah, pervert!" He clenched his fist and hit Han Shi's handsome nose, causing him to scream in pain and causing chaos in the room. Han Dazhu, who was smoking heavily in the yard, and Luo Xiaojuan, who was feeding pigs, rushed in immediately upon hearing this. They saw Han Shi hiding in a corner with a bloody face, holding his head and crying for help. Qinxi, on the other hand, smashed Han Shi with a pillow filled with corn kernels, with a fierce and lifeless look that was completely different from yesterday. Upon seeing this, Han Dazhu not only didn't get angry, but also burst out laughing excitedly. Ha ha ha, you're good at fighting. If you don't listen to your wife, you should fight. Although Han Dazhu didn't know why the two of them started fighting, seeing the lively appearance of Qinxi, the heavy burden in his heart finally fell down. Luo Xiaojuan felt sorry for her son, especially Han Shi's face covered in blood, which made her heartbroken. She immediately climbed onto the Kong and pulled Qinxi away. What's wrong with this? Why is it still fighting? Little creek, is little stone doing something wrong? Tell Mom will teach you a lesson. Mom. Qinxi only then carefully observed the surrounding environment, the old and dim room, the tattered and mottled furniture, and the dust all over the room. The air was filled with a smell of dirt and gray, giving people a sense of suffocation. And with these three faces in front of him, memories of the original owner surged up, and Qinxi finally realized that he had been reborn. Reborn on a newly married woman with the same name and surname in Shanwan village, the man in front of her, who is less than 6 years old in intelligence, is her husband Han Shi. The amount of information was too large, and Qinxi couldn't accept it for a while. She had just passed away in the end of her life, and in the blink of an eye, she became a married little daughter. Law. Poor thing, she got married before falling in love in her past life. Hey, Mom, Qinxi scratched his dry short head and looked at Luo Xiaojuan with a hint of apology. He said hesitantly, I just fell asleep and saw him too close to me. Han Shi hid behind Luo Xiaojuan and whispered pitifully, Mom and daughter. Law are too aggressive. She hit me, it hurts so much. End of this chapter. Chapter 5. Not disliking him. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5. Not disliking him. Qinxi twitched at the corner of his mouth, coughed lightly, and muttered inexplicably, Who told you to strip my clothes? It's like to hit you. Immediately remembering that Han Shi was now her husband, Qinxi felt embarrassed and wanted to crawl through the cracks. Seeing a suspicious blush on her waxen face, Luo Xiaojuan was afraid that she would have a high fever again. She immediately asked with concern, Xiaoxi, how do you feel? Are you feeling better? Mom, I'm much better now, just a little hungry. As if to confirm her words, Qinxi's stomach started to cry out in a timely manner, causing a big red face. Luo Xiaojuan immediately smiled and patted her dry and rough hand, I'm so hungry, I'm so hungry. Mom, I'll bring you something to eat. Qinxi drank a bowl of rice porridge and 2 large bowls of white steamed buns. She never knew that mantu could be so delicious, sweet, soft and fragrant, as if mantu were the best food in the world. Perhaps she was extremely hungry, so everything she ate felt delicious, but it is undeniable that the grain of this era is sweeter than the machinery cultivated in later generations. Especially under natural growth conditions, chemical fertilizers and agricultural materials are eliminated. Most of them are mixed with plant ash and mud and sprinkled in the water pits in the fields, or irrigated with feces. So we can preserve the resilience and sweetness of food. The benefit is that it's really delicious. If it's not because she's been hungry for too long, she shouldn't eat too much. She can still eat too. Luo Xiaojuan saw that she had eaten everything and asked with a smile, How are you? Are you full? If you're not full, Mom will go steam a few more for you. Qinxi awkwardly rubbed his hands and said, You're full. After eating and drinking enough, she suddenly remembered yesterday when Qin Feng brought someone to cause trouble, hoping to use her death to blackmail Han Daju's family and repay his gambling debts. Qinxi felt extremely sarcastic and disgusted by such a malicious elder brother. He immediately looked at Han Daju and said obediently and firmly, Grandpa, I want to sever ties with the Qin family and become a stranger in the future. Do you agree with me doing this? She is not afraid that Han Daju thinks she is unfilial. After all, the Qin family is top-notch, with a nest of snakes and mice. It is already a miracle that she can live to this day, especially when Qin Feng does such immoral things, which further strengthens his own thoughts. Han Daju nodded thoughtfully and said, If it's broken, then there won't be these bad things. However, Luo Xiaojuan was worried and hesitated to speak. Qinxi smiled and said, Mom, what do you have to say? Although thin and frail to the point of skin and bones, her curved eyebrows and eyes exude a hint of weakness, reminiscent of Lin Dayu's gentle and delicate demeanor. Han Shi's handsome face, which was tense, also laughed along. I was just ambushed by Qinxi, and my nose was bleeding. He used a sanitary pad to block it. However, at that time, the toilet paper was pink and of particularly rough quality. It was stuffed into my nose, accompanied by his silly smile. It looked so funny. When Han Shi's IQ was only 5 years old, Qinxi suddenly felt a little lucky. For no other reason, if the Qin family were more stubborn and married her to an old bachelor or a wicked mother. Law, she would probably have the heart to wear it back and die again. There are 2 benefits to marrying Han Shi. Firstly, you don't have to worry about what he will do to you, and you can stay here with peace of mind. Secondly, the Han family treated her very well and served her well, making her willing to eat and drink. 3. And most importantly, she is not averse to Han Shi either. At this moment, Luo Xiaojuan spoke anxiously, Hey, I'm worried that the Qin family won't let you go, they. She originally intended to say that they were all vampires. If it weren't for her father. Law's weight, the Qin family might have been lying on the Han family for a long time, sucking blood. They will agree. Qinxi cut off the railway. Oh. Does the girl have an idea? Han Daju's gaze flickered. Qinxi smiled proudly and approached them, whispering, "We can do this." For a moment, Han Daju clapped his legs and laughed heartily, nodding her little head. "Girl, you're so clever." End of this chapter. Chapter 6. Home Visits. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6. Home visits. The next day at around 9 o'clock, taking advantage of the busy farming activities of the Qin family's men, Qinxi lay on a simple stretcher made of floral cloth, carried by Han Shi and Luo Xiujuan's mother and son, while Han Daju led the way and confidently headed towards the Qin family. Judging from their fierce and evil demeanor, the village elders and aunties didn't mind the excitement and followed them to the Qin family. Those who climbed the wall, those who climbed the firewood fire stack, and those who climbed the firewood fire stack, all actively felt like celebrating the Chinese New Year. Han Daju pointed to the Qin family gate and shouted to Han Shi, "Little stone, go knock on the door." Han Shi was very obedient, let out a sound, put down the dying Qin river, ran over, and started knocking on the door with a clang. The gate was originally made of several wooden boards nailed together. After experiencing wind and sun, it couldn't resist such a knocking. With a click, the wooden boards cracked and the gate fell directly to the ground. Upon seeing this, Han Shi burst into the courtyard and kicked the Qin family's mud-mixed courtyard wall hard. The wall was overwhelmed and suddenly collapsed into a large gap. He was like a contemporary husky, with no grass growing in his path. In no time, the courtyard was already in chaos. Especially the 2.5-person tall porcelain jars in the yard, one stone at a time, were all smashed open, and the water and pickled vegetables inside were scattered all over the ground. Who was the one who got beaten? Knocking on the door so early? I don't know if the old lady is sleeping. Hearing voices from out of town, an old lady's sharp and sarcastic curse suddenly came from the room. As her words fell, Han Shi stopped and carried Qinxi in with Luo Xiujuan. Now it is the hottest time in July, but Qinxi is covered in a thick blanket and lying on a stretcher with only a small ball bulging up. She was as thin as a stick, with a face as pale as ashes, and her messy short hair was like a chicken coop. Moreover, everyone couldn't feel the ups and downs of her breathing. If it weren't for the painful expression on her eyebrows, everyone would have thought she was dead. At the same time, the door creaked open and an old lady with a dry and sharp appearance emerged, who was Qinxi's grandmother, Li Hohat. Behind Li Hohat, there were two middle-aged women. The skinny one was Zhang Cuiyun, the daughter-in-law of the eldest wife, and the slightly chubby one was Hu Xiaofeng, the daughter-in-law of the second wife, who was the biological mother of Qin Feng Qinxi. They seemed to have missed the terminally ill Qin River, and their gaze fell on the messy courtyard. Li Hohat's anger rose from her heart, pointing at Han Daju and cursing fiercely, "You old and immortal thing, how dare you smash my mother's yard? Oh, my yard, oh, Han Jizi, you bully people too much, bully my old lady weak, really unreasonable." As he spoke, he sat down on the ground and started rolling around. "Madam, don't make a fuss either. It's worth making a fuss. I'm here to settle the accounts with Qin Feng. You ask Qin Feng to come out, and if he doesn't come out, I'll send him to the place where he should be sent." Han Daju shouted with righteousness. "Looking for Xiaofeng? What are you looking for Xiaofeng for?" Hu Xiaofeng crossed her waist and frowned coldly, with a sharp and sarcastic tone similar to that of Li Hohat. Han Daju pointed at Qinxi and said, "Do you see that? This is your daughter. She has already exhaled more and inhaled less. It hasn't been long. Qin Feng from your family is really vicious. In order to extort me, an old man, and poison Xiaoxi, why do you say I'm looking for him? Of course, I'll pay for it. Poisoning. No wonder this child's face is so bad. It turns out he's poisoned. My goodness, Qin Feng, that kid dares to poison his own younger sister. He's truly despicable. It's not my first day getting to know the Qin family. They're a family that's not virtuous. Hey, this child is so pitiful. End of this chapter. Chapter 7. Poisoning. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7. Poisoning. People around are discussing and pointing at Li Hohat and others. Hu Xiaofeng glanced at Qinxi, with no trace of kindness in her eyes, only disgust and misfortune. What are you bringing her for? Go, 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 don't die in our house, what misfortune. Everyone is speechless. Is this still a biological mother? It is said that tiger poison does not eat children. Is this person still worthy of being a mother? Luo Xiaozhuan's heart sank and she said, how are you talking? Xiaoxi is your daughter. Hu Xiaofeng tilted her neck and said, I just love to talk like that, you can't control it. Han Dazhu said fiercely, don't talk nonsense to her. I came today to find Qin Feng and ask that little bastard Qin Feng to come out. I tell you, if you don't come again, I'll have you go to the police station. Police station. In this era, the definition of a police station in their minds is to go to jail and not be able to get out. They fear the police more than they fear them. Even if they don't make mistakes, they are subconsciously afraid, just like the deep-rooted fear of elementary school students when they see their teachers. As soon as everyone heard about going to the police station, they immediately knew that the matter might not be very simple. They quickly called on the 7 aunties and 8 aunties to climb up the wall of the Qin family to watch a play. Hu Xiaofeng was in a hurry. She was just an uneducated village woman. When she heard that her son was going to the police station, it was like poking a hornet's nest. With a loud cry, she was about to rush over and fight against old Han. Her son is her life. How can she go to a place like the police station? No, absolutely not. You're a dead old rascal, dare to touch my son. I'm not finished with you. Hu Xiaofeng scratched the face of North and South Korean Dezhu with open teeth and claws. If she really caught him, he probably would have his entire face turned into a big flower cat. Han Dazhu let out a cold snort and easily dodged her claws. He lifted his cane and hit her bucket waist. Hu Xiaofeng let out a whoop and fell to the ground with a thud. Hu Xiaofeng lay on the ground, rolling around and crying and cursing, killing, killing. The Han family is going to kill, it's unreasonable. Qin Hongtao, come out and take a look. The Han family is going to kill. Qin Hongtao, the biological father of Qinxi, like the idol Qin Feng, is an elderly person who is lazy all day long. Last night, I went out for a drink and was currently sleeping soundly inside, with a deafening snoring sound. Hu Xiaofeng didn't shout Qin Hongtao out with his voice, but it was Qin Guobiao, the old man of Qin, who shouted out. What's going on? Han Dazhu, what are you doing? Qin Guobiao saw chickens flying and dogs jumping in the yard, and the old lady and her second daughter.in.law crying on the ground. His face darkened and he immediately looked at Han Dazhu. What are you doing? Han Dazhu was furious and pounded the ground heavily with his cane, pointing to Qinxi beside him. Your precious grandson Qin Feng, Xiaoxi's biological brother, poisoned Xiaoxi in order to pay off gambling debts. He wanted to use her life to blackmail me, an old man. What are you saying about me? Of course, I'm using my life to pay for my granddaughter's life. Hu Xiaofeng was furious and quickly got up from the ground before pouncing again. However, looking at the cane in Han Dazhu's hand, he could only stand in place and shout, what? Let my son pay for your life. Do you still want to be shameless? That scumbag will die, why should my son pay for his life? Everyone sighed and said, is this what my mother can say? Everyone in the countryside knows that the Qin family either beats or scolds the child in Qinxi, but they never know that this child's life is so despicable in the eyes of their mother. Han Dazhu was also furious and said, "Humph, now Xiaoxi is my granddaughter-in-law of Han Dazhu, and she is from my Han family. If you don't treat her fairly, I will come. Now, immediately call Qin Feng out, otherwise I will go to the police station." I see who dares. End of this chapter. Chapter 8. Redemption of Dowry. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8 Redemption of Dowry. Hu Xiaofeng stood with her waist in front of Han Dazhu. Next to her, Li Hohat was also a restless and persistent master, pointing to Qinxi's grievances and cursing, "You little rascal is just a white-eyed wolf. I knew you could do it today and drowned in the water when you were born. Why bother keeping it? It's a waste of our family's food for so many years, and even after getting married, it's so frustrating." Speaking, he spat on the ground. Qinxi trembled all over, hoping that AI would say, "Milk." Li Hohat said fiercely, "Go away, don't call me milk, I'm not your milk." Zhang Cuiyun also spoke with a strange tone, as the saying goes, if a married daughter splashes water, Uncle Han, since Qinxi is married to your family, he is a member of your family. What does it have to do with us? Don't blame us with any feces. Han Dazhu was originally a hunter, and his terrifying aura suddenly erupted. He shouted fiercely, which immediately frightened the three of them. He angrily said, "Fart it, Qin Feng poisoned him. I have already gone to the county for inspection, and he has admitted it himself. Now that Xiaoxi looks like this, we are here to seek justice. If you speak up well, I may still be able to let him go for Xiaoxi's sake. If you mess around, I will take Xiaoxi to the police station." Now the Qin family is all panicking. What, Qin Feng has already acknowledged it? And, is there any evidence? Isn't Qin Feng going to jail? What do you want? At this moment, Qin Guobiao, who had been silent all along, suddenly spoke up. "If you don't want Qin Feng to go to jail, you can double the dowry we spent before and return it." Before Han Dazhu could finish speaking, Li Hohat immediately felt like a cat stepping on its tail, her fur exploding in an instant. Impossible, absolutely impossible. Money is her lifeblood, taking it back is twice as much as digging out her heart. "You old bastard, how dare you have the idea of giving me money? I tell you, there's no way, I won't give you money even if I die. Han Dazhu, do you guys have to take care of it? We've spent a lot of money on treating Xiaoxi these past few days, and since Xiaoxi has suffered such a big crime, we must compensate him. If we don't compensate, then we can take Qin Feng to the police station and tell you that once he goes in, he won't be able to come out again." Qin Feng, who was trembling inside the house, could no longer listen. He immediately rushed out and hugged Li Hohat's arm, tears streaming down his face. "No, I'm not going to the police station, Grandma, I'm not going to the police station. Mom, you want to save me, I don't want to go to jail. Be good and don't go to jail. Mom won't let you go to jail." Hu Xiaofeng immediately comforted Qin Feng with heartache. Seeing the pitiful look on her grandson's face, Li Hohat's heart was dripping with blood, but compared to the money in her hand, she still refused to let go. She gritted her teeth and looked at Han Dazhu, bargaining, 200 yuan, I will only return the dowry money. This is my bottom line, whether you want to do it or not. Han Dazhu refused half the way and said, "No, it's not worth a penny. If you think it's unfair, you can also take poison. I promise not to pay a penny." Li Hohat blushed and had a thick neck. Qin Feng's face turned pale with fear, and he quickly shook Li Hohat, pleading, "Milk, give it, milk. It's better to do less than one more thing. Give it quickly." Zhang Cuiyun saw that Li Hohat's expression had loosened, and she immediately became anxious. "We can't give it. This money is also part of our big house. Why do we have to give it to the second house? I don't agree, I have to give it. Let the second house find a way to go on their own." End of this chapter. Chapter 9. Death is a Qin family ghost. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9. Death is a Qin family ghost. Hu Xiaofeng was furious. She pointed at Zhang Zueyan with a malicious expression on her face and cursed loudly, "Zhang Zueyan, you old slut, hit me. I knew you didn't want to see my son well and wanted to take advantage of it to get rid of him. I told you, you can't do it." Zhang Zueyan was burning with anger, rolling up her sleeves and about to give her a big slap, cursing loudly, "You old slut, how dare you scold me? Look, I won't tear off your broken mouth today." As they were about to engage in internal strife, Qin Guobiao shouted loudly, "Shut up, everyone." Everyone immediately shut up. Qin Guobiao looked at Han Dazhu and said in a deep voice, "Our family's shame should not be exposed. We can also be considered in-laws, so there's no need to do such a great job." Han Dazhu raised his hand and pointed to the dying Qin Creek, "Ugliness is also ugly to your family. Moreover, it's a bit hypocritical to say it's your own family now. If it weren't for Qin Feng's extreme behavior, why bother coming here as a bad old man? Qin Guobiao, I see that as you get older, you're becoming more and more shameless." Qin Guobiao's face turned pale. Seeing Han Dazhu's determination to turn his face, his chest was heaving and his breathing was heavy, indicating that he was quite angry. However, he couldn't help but bite his teeth and said, "Okay, 400 is 400. Old Qin too." Li Hohat was very anxious. Just as she was about to speak out to dissuade her, she saw Qin Guobiao glaring fiercely at her and saying, "Do you want to watch Xiaofeng go to jail?" Li Hohat shrank her neck in fear and immediately fell silent. Han Dazhu's face improved slightly, he said. Li Hohat screamed, "What else? Han Gizi, don't bully anyone too much." Han Dazhu said to himself, "As you know, Xiaoxi fell ill as soon as he came to our house, so Xiaoxi means to enter the ancestral tomb of the Qin family." No, absolutely not. The water spilled by a married daughter doesn't make any sense for a married girl to return to her ancestral home. Besides, you said that the lowly girl is from your Han family, and now she wants to enter our Qin family's ancestral tomb. What's this called? Zhang Zueyan was already angry because she lost 400 yuan, and now she wants to go to her ancestral tomb. There's no such thing as good things in the world. Yes, no, absolutely not. Li Hohat and Hu Xiaofeng agreed one after another. Qin Guobiao also had a gloomy expression on his face. Han Dazhu, I will definitely not agree with the principle that unmarried daughters should return to their ancestral graves. Qinxi saw that the situation was developing in the expected direction, and the corners of his mouth remained silent. Finally it was his turn to perform. Hence, cough cough. Cough cough cough. Qinxi was panting heavily and coughing violently. With the help of Luo Xiaojuan, she slowly lifted her head and looked at Qin Guobiao with red eyes. Her voice was weak, and she choked up, "Grandpa, I want to go back. Go back to the Qin family." Qin Guobiao didn't turn his head and didn't want to face Qinxi. "Child, since you are the wife of the Han family, you should be buried in the Han family. Go back and don't make things difficult for Grandpa anymore," he said. In my impression, this was probably the first time Qin Guobiao had spoken to Qinxi so calmly. Upon hearing this, Han Dazhu angrily scanned the Qin family present with his cane and said, "Okay, it's truly the Qin family. This is forcing Xiaoxi to death. Since you are not kind, okay, today we will make a written statement that whether Xiaoxi is alive or dead, your Qin family and Xiaoxi will have no relationship in the future." Qinxi pleaded with a lingering aura, "Grandpa, I don't want to cut me off. I was born, I belong to the Qin family. People, death. I am a ghost of the Qin family." She struggled to kneel and kowtow to Qin Guobiao, but due to lack of strength, she crawled directly to the ground, which frightened Luo Xiaojuan. She quickly helped the person up and pretended to wipe away tears. Luo Xiaojuan knew that Qinxi was acting, but she didn't expect her acting to be so extensive. This fall immediately stirred up the atmosphere. End of this chapter. Chapter 10. Coming back to find you after death. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10. Coming back to find you after death. The villagers felt uneasy when they saw how miserable Qin Creek was, and they all spoke up to comfort the Qin family. Mrs. Li, just accumulate some virtue in your mouth. This is your granddaughter, don't force yourself to death. That's right, they are both granddaughters, one holding them up to the sky and the other stepping on the mud. What a sin. No, this child is almost exhausted. Don't force her anymore. Li Hohat angrily pointed at the villagers. Whoever feels sorry for her, bury her in their grave. If you're not willing, just shut up for me. The villagers dared not speak up and immediately closed their mouths. They were watching the excitement, not coming to pick up a half-dead person to go home and compete for land with themselves 100 years later. Qinxi looked at Hu Xiaofeng with tearful eyes and said, "Mom, you don't want me either. Are you coming back?" Hu Xiaofeng pretended to be in a difficult situation and said, "Girl, it's not that Mom doesn't want you, it's because you're already married and there's no need to come back." Qinxi's weak voice interrupted, "But after I die, I miss you and you, my parents, grandpa, aunts, and aunts. Oh, by the way, and my brothers, cousins, and aunts. Can I just come back and see you? You usually take care of me like that. I'll come back and find you. Find them after death." The Qin family's face instantly turned pale, and deep fear couldn't help but arise in their hearts, especially Hu Xiaofeng and Li Hohat, who used to bully Qinxi a lot. If she ran back after death, the first person she would have to deal with was them. As soon as they thought of that scene, Hu Xiaofeng and Li Hohat instinctively trembled and screamed, "Don't come back, you're not the Qin family, you're not coming back." The others were not doing well either, especially Qin Feng. He was so scared that he trembled and hid behind Li Hohat, shouting incessantly, "You can't come back, milk. You can't let her come back. She's not from the Qin family anymore, milk. You must not let her come back." Han Dazhu intervened and said, If you don't do anything wrong, you're not afraid of ghosts knocking on the door. What are you afraid of?" Li Hohat tugged at Qin Guobiao's clothes, feeling anxious and uneasy in her heart. Her voice even trembled as she whispered, "Old man, think of a way. What if the cheap girl turns into a ghost and comes to us?" Although Qin Guobiao didn't quite believe in these things, looking back on their family's actions towards Qinxi, he felt guilty. He glanced at Qinxi and sighed, "Girl, don't blame grandpa for doing it so well." Afterwards, he looked at Han Dazhu and said to the crowd with righteousness, "I declare that Qinxi is no longer part of the Qin family. Since she has married the Han family, she will become part of the Han family, Cuiyan. Go and bring the genealogy, and Xiaofeng will go and call the village chief." Zhang Cuiyan's eyes lit up and he said, "Hey, good. This method is good." Although Qin Feng's legs and stomach were trembling a bit, he still crawled out of the yard and went to call the village chief. The villagers didn't expect the Qin family to do such a great job. Qin Creek is already like this, and they even cruelly cut off their relationship with her. Is this something that people do? Fierce, the Qin family is really ruthless. Li Hohat was excited and said, "Yes, as long as this little slut doesn't have the surname Qin, she can't come back." Han Dazhu's eyes widened in anger and he said, "Qin Guobiao, Li Hohat, you are still not human. She is your own granddaughter, and you just watch her become homeless and become a ghost." Li Hohat's sharp and sarcastic face showed a proud smile. "Han Jizi, you manage the sky and the earth, and also manage the affairs of our Qin family. Are you taking yourself too seriously? Han Dazhu is angry, you." End of this chapter.